Hey everybody, Ryan from Vortex here, and today we are going to talk about the Crossfire II 2-7x32 Crossbow Scope. What it comes with, how to use it, and how to get zeroed for this upcoming hunting season. The Crossfire Crossbow Scope comes out of the box ready to mount onto your crossbow. We include with it flip caps, a neoprene cover, and 30mm rings. It is again a 2-to-7 magnification, it's variable, and it's a speed dial on the magnification. That's how we're actually going to tune the bow speed, or rather the optic to the bow speed. It's illuminated, red or green, and you intend to zero at 40 yards and have drops from 20 to 100. Now, because we can't bore sight a crossbow like we could a conventional rifle scope on a rifle, we're gonna have to start with a relatively close target, and we've got one at about 6 yards for this. So what we'll do is we'll load and we'll fire, and we'll make sure that we're roughly aligned on our windage and get it fairly close on elevation before we start moving out to further distances to validate the bow speed via the magnification dial and the drops. Now my elevation was perfect, but my windage, I'm a little off to the left. I'm about 2 inches over from the left of the bullseye. I'm gonna make an adjustment using my windage turret on the rifle scope. We're gonna get centered up, we're gonna fire another round to make sure that it's well centered, and then we'll start moving out to distance. That's pretty good. I'm very satisfied with where that last bolt landed, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna move the target now to 40 yards. I'm going to expect an elevation discrepancy because we are at a longer distance, but we'll actually zero the bow and the optic at 40 yards, which is the center of the Crossfire II Crossbow's reticle. All right, target's moved to 40, and again, we are going to expect an elevation discrepancy when we fire this next bolt. We're going to adjust for that using the elevation turret and any windage that we need to shore up as well. And then we're going to test it at further distances. But let's fire at 40, see what happens. 40-yard bolt out. I'm a little low, and again, that was to be expected, and I'm also a little right. And I think that my 6-yard bolt was a little far right of center as well, only by fractions of an inch at that distance, but now that's compounding. So we're gonna make an amendment to the elevation turret first. I'm gonna fire another bolt and make sure that that right landing was actually where the optic was zeroed and not just me pulling it. And then if we need to shore up any left and right, we'll do that as well. Elevation adjustment was perfect. Windage adjustment is required. We're gonna scoot that bolt just to the left. We're gonna fire one more for confirmation, hopefully. And then we're gonna start validating that reticle at distance. Now that last bolt appears to have hit the X, or at least very close to. I'm gonna make a very small adjustment, and thankfully, the Crossbow Scope's turrets are 1/2 MOA per click, which is a pretty coarse adjustment. We should be able to shore that up in just a click or two. Okay, upon target review, because the paper looks like it's tearing differently, and I don't know if that's light or shadows, I actually hit that thing about dead center. So now I'm gonna take out the adjustment that I put in, and we're gonna call that good at 40 yards. We're gonna scoot this back to 60, and we're gonna start tuning that magnification dial to the bow speed itself. All right, we moved our target to 60 yards, and we're gonna go into the speed drop validation portion of this, using the reticle and the magnification ring assembly on your crossbow scope. We don't know exactly how fast this bow is shooting quite yet, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of approximation. The bow is rated with a 400 grain arrow at 400 feet per second, so we're going to adjust the magnification dial to approximately the 400 foot per second indication on there. There's no hard number there that says 400 feet per second, so we're gonna land in between a couple of figures and get close. All right, our target is at 60. Our speed dial is set to approximately what we believe the bow to perform at, and we're going to use that 60-yard subtension as our holding point. If we're high or we're low, we're going to amend that using the magnification dial. Let's load and fire. The 60-yard subtension put the bolt right through the X, and that's telling me that the bow speed and the mag dial are well indexed. We're going to move to 100 yards now, and we're going to validate out there so that we can see that the full range of motion, if you will, throughout this reticle is correct. 100-yard target, 100-yard subtension. See how this goes. All right, my 100-yard impact is a little bit low and a little bit right. I'm going to say that right is probably my fault, but I think that little bit low is probably the totality of the system coming together here. Remember, a velocity discrepancy that we may not see at 60 yards will certainly show up at 100 when we're talking about the relatively low foot per second rating that these bows are at. So what we're going to do here is we're going to amend the magnification dial, or our speed dial, so that we actually bring the 100-yard subtension from the aiming point to the arrow where it hit. That is scaling the reticle appropriately, and that will take care of that finite elevation adjustment that we need, rather than using the turret, because we are matching the speed dial to what the bow is actually performing at. We're going to load up and we're going to fire again. Hopefully that correction was exactly what we needed. Looks like that speed dial adjustment was just perfect. The bolt landed on the horizontal line that I was targeting, but the wind picked up and carried me to the left of my target. That is something to be cognizant of when you're shooting a bow of any kind at very extended ranges. We're gonna wait till we have a little bit of lull in the wind, and then we're gonna send another one for confirmation. Bolt out at 100 yards, and I'm within about an inch or an inch and a half of the X, which is a really great testament to these systems here, the bows, the bolts, and the optic itself. Now, understand that we're probably never gonna shoot a game animal at that distance, right? And we're not advocating that. But to be able to proof the reticle and how it works in conjunction with the magnification ring or speed dial from 40 to 100, it's pretty incredible. These are really cool systems, and it doesn't take a lot of effort or a lot of bolts necessarily to get you on target quickly and accurately. All right, we're finished. We're confident in our zero. We're confident in our drops. And when you're ready to button this up, we'd recommend resetting your turret's elevation and windage to reflect zero, just for reference later, but we really strongly recommend marking your magnification and speed dial if you land in between magnifications with something like a silver or white Sharpie. That way, if you inadvertently or intentionally move your magnification dial and you need to get back to where your speed dial is set properly, you've got that hard, fast reference. And of course, if you've got any questions about any of this process or any of our other products, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.